It only happened to me once years ago, but I still think about it sometimes. I was walking out of a store when I heard someone say, "Hey, don't I know you?" I turned around and saw her standing there with a friend. I said, no, I don't think so. And she just smiled and said, "Oh, well, that's too bad." Honestly, it caught me off guard. She was very smooth. The way I laughed, blushed, waved, and then walked off still haunts me a little. Story 1. Hey sailor, do you want to sail the high seas later? I have a waterbed. She did have a waterbed. I do not like waterbeds. Story 2. You can come over and be with me on Friday afternoons. I really don't have time for anything else. For years later. Story 3. I like you. In a bar. After some time, she asked if I could take her home, as I was not drinking. While driving, she said, "You do realize that I really do like you and want to see you again." I was speechless. I just said that no, I did not know that and thought she just wanted a ride home since it was on the same way as I was. Yeah. I figured you would be one of those good guys that helps someone just because you can. I do not know what the pickup line actually was, but I do miss her. Rest in peace, Teresa. Story 4. I had a woman across the gas pump walk around to my side to compliment my shirt. My wife was in the car, and I was not interested, so I said thank you and went about my business. She had that eye-batting, smiling face when she said it. I had a woman ringing up a shirt I was buying at TJ Maxx say, "I'd sure love to see you in that." Again, I just blew it off. I had a woman ringing me up at Burlington Coat Factory say, "Let me get your number in case you have any issues with this." I thought she was just asking to put it in the system. I said, "Nah, sorry, I'll be okay." She then said, "Well, how about I give you mine then?" Again, my wife was right next to me, so I blew it off. Story 5. Well, the bars are closing. It looks like all the quality people are gone or already paired up. You'll have to manage. Are you coming home with me or not? And yes, I went home with her. Story 6. I used to meet a lady at work once a week, and around the fourth week, she told me she had been having vivid sexual dreams about me. Direct and to the point. It worked for her. Story 7. We were friends in college, both seeing other people at the time. She was so far out of my league, I was happy we were friends. Then we went our separate ways. Fast forward 5 years. We met up at a mutual friend's party. This time, we were both recently single. We got together for coffee, and then a week later for a movie. We hung out together on weekends, nothing more. One day, she pinned me to the fender of her car and kissed me. I said, "Oh, I guess we're not just friends anymore." 6 months later, we were engaged and later married. 33 years later, leukemia took her. But that was her pickup line, and it worked. Story 8. According to my girlfriend, all kinds of women have flirted with me and hit on me. I can only think of one time when I actually noticed it happening. Story 9. I was watching television when one of my brother's friends walked in. She asked me, "Where can I sit?" I looked at her confused and said, "There is a whole sectional you can sit on." She replied, "That's not where I want to sit." Then went over and sat on my lap. I was sitting in an armchair for clarification. Story 10. A few years after college, I met with some friends who still lived in our old college town for Halloween. We went to a local arcade bar in the nightclub hub for drinks and to party. I was dressed as a United Parcel Service mailman, wearing small tight shorts. At the time, I had a severe inguinal hernia awaiting surgery, so the shorts were a bit filled out. I had also made a United Parcel Service box for photos but left it at the house when we went out. I was playing foosball with a friend of mine who is female and asexual, which is important. A girl dressed as a vampire approached and leaned over the active game, asking, "Did the package come with the costume?" My drunk, dumb self immediately responded, "No, I actually left it at the house." She looked confused, then turned to my friend and said, "Enjoy that, honey," before walking off. Both my friend and I were confused, but we had a good laugh and rejoined our group to share the story. It remains a big joke in our friend group. Thankfully, I had surgery a few weeks later, and I no longer have to carry a tennis ball in my pants. Story 11. Not a man, but I definitely have. I was working as a server, and there was this super cute guy sitting at the bar. I grabbed a sugar packet, tapped him on the shoulder, and said, "Excuse me, I think you dropped your name tag." Super corny, but he was flattered. Story 12. I once sent a drink to a man in a bar with a lipstick kiss and the words, "Come find me," on a napkin. He was asking everyone at the bar if they had sent it. I admitted it when he asked me, and we dated for a couple of years. He said it was the coolest way anyone had ever shown interest in him. Story 13. I do not know if you can call it a pickup line. I was traveling Southeast Asia at the time and stayed at a hostel. A girl in my dorm room, who I had never spoken to, randomly came up to me and asked if I smoked cannabis, then asked if I wanted to hang out and smoke together. Not a pickup line, but it worked on me. It was a nice smoking session. Forget pickup lines, just talk like humans, you know? Story 14. We were both 16 working at a theme park. I was training her to operate a ride in my area. At the end of training, you always ask, "Do you have any questions, comments, or concerns?" She responded, "Do you want to get coffee sometime?" Story 15. This cute little 5 foot nothing looked me up and down, locked eyes, and said, "Yeah, I could take you. I could take you on the floor and make you cry." Needless to say, she has had me completely for over 20 years. Story 16. I took a good female friend as a date to a friend's wedding. At the beginning of the evening, she said, "Promise me that we won't get drunk and have sex later." I was floored. I didn't think she was even attracted to me. My response was, "I'm not sure I can make that promise." Story 17. Literally this pickup line from a tiny girl at a bar. Don't think I could pick you up, but with the least bit of effort you could pick me up. It has been 2 decades, and it still haunts me that I responded, "Why would I pick you up?" That poor Canadian girl. At that point, I had been in the country long enough for my Danish accent to be nearly lost, which means I just sounded like a spiteful Canadian. Story 18. I was at a bar when a woman approached me and said that her boyfriend was unfaithful and asked if I wanted to have sex in her car. I chickened out. I figured her boyfriend might start a fight with the person who accepted. That is the closest thing to a pickup line I remember. Story 19. Employee at a sandwich shop. "Hey, I bet you could show me a thing or two." Me. "All right, let me get the turkey with pepperoni on white bread with some pepper jack." I did not handle it well. Super awkward. Story 20. Halloween last year, I dressed as a hot dog. A woman approached me and asked if I was a ketchup or mustard person. I answered correctly with mustard. She said she had a shelf of specialty mustards at home that she would smear on me. Story 21. A few months ago, I was talking to a woman at the gym. As we were winding down our conversation, she asked if I was single. I suppose she could have been asking for someone else, but it seemed like she was actually interested in me enough for a date. I told her I am not, and she said, "That's a real shame." Story 22. I was in a foreign airport waiting for my flight when a woman complimented me on my eyes. I had a feeling anything else would cost me $100 an hour, so I moved seats. Story 23. I never used to get hit on, but one girl did not use a line. Instead, she left her phone number on a piece of paper under the windshield wiper of my car. I have been married to her for 18 years. Over that period, all of her friends have shown interest in me. I never reciprocated. I feel for my wife because she has no friends, as she worries that if she did, they would hit on me. I am not a very good-looking man. I have a dad bod. I am mildly autistic too, so I am not sure what these women see all of a sudden. It is weird and stupid. Story 24. Not a pickup line, but a girl asked me if she could perform oral sex on me in the parking lot of a bar in Athens, Georgia. Story 25. Do you send inappropriate pictures? You look like you send inappropriate pictures. She was drunk, holding a large cup full of beer. We were on a train. I was 19 and I think she was in her late 20s. As I was getting off the train later, she touched me inappropriately and said I was cute. I was autistic and had no idea how to react to this situation. Story 26. I do not remember the exact line, but I definitely know that anytime a woman uses a pickup line on me, it works. I am a sucker for clever things. Story 27. I am a woman at an age where many of my peers are in relationships. I asked a man, "Aren't you somebody's husband?" Which gave me an easy way out when he said yes. I wish I could have told you how it worked, but despite naked ring fingers, I never received a no. Story 28. I remember someone saying, "I noticed you don't have a ring on your finger. So are you married or gay?" It really surprised me that those were the only options for not wearing a ring. So I just said, "Haha, no, I'm single." We talked a little more, and she asked if I was in college. I said yes, and she said she likes college guys. In my infinite wisdom, I responded, "Why?" To be fair, I was feeling really bad at the time and didn't realize she was trying to get me to ask her out. Story 29. Most likely, but I am so oblivious when somebody is interested in me. I am sure whatever line they used went right over my head. Story 30. I had just met her over a shared cigarette at a bar. After about 30 minutes of vibing and drinks, she got up to go to the bathroom. She leaned in and whispered in my ear, "I am going to kiss you now." Story 31. I was an usher at my buddy's wedding and the only single man in the wedding party. The maid of honor gave her speech and started by complimenting how well the ushers and best man looked in our tuxedos. She then looked down the line of us and said, "Which one of you is single?" I spent most of the night with her, drove her home, and worked up the courage to ask her out on a date. We have been married for 25 years. Story 32. A girl I dated asked me to join her in the shower, and a few minutes in, she asked jokingly, "So, are you here often?" Backstory. Her very first pickup line was, "Do you want bread with that?" Slavic girl pickup line technique 101. Story 33. I am in my late 50s and have been married for just under 40 years. It took me over 20 years to realize that the flight attendant offering me a ride home after our flight was actually hitting on me. Story 34. I am not sure if a woman has ever flirted with me, and if one has, it was clearly a wasted effort because I did not catch on. Story 35. Female here. I used a line once and it worked like a charm. It would work for a woman too. Just change the gender in the question. How does it feel to be the best-looking man in the room? Story 36. No one approaches me. I guess I don't show confidence. I am lucky to have the girl I have. But just once, I would like to know how it feels. Story 37. A few times. A girl walked up to me in a nightclub and offered me a lollipop. She and I did not know each other, but she knew some of the people I was with and I was her type. A girl approached me at a music festival and asked if my name was Andrew. I said no, and she said, "That's okay. I just randomly guessed a name to start a conversation. I'm Stephanie." At least 2 times in university, a couple of girls randomly struck up conversations with me, starting with, "Hey you," settle an argument, and then asking my opinion on something. The fact that it happened twice and both times one of the girls started flirting afterward makes me think someone was spreading the idea around as a way to approach guys. I feel like I'm forgetting at least one more time, but it is not coming to me now. For the record, I am a fairly average guy. I am not tall or especially good looking. I have always been in okay shape, but I am not an athlete or anything. I am as average as they come, but I think I give off an approachable, non-threatening vibe. Story 38. Yes, but it took me weeks later to figure out what it was. I was working some executive protection in my suit when a woman with her 2 friends came up to me. The 2 friends stayed a few feet away, and the woman started to talk to me and asked, "Aren't you the same guy that took me out on a date 2 weekends ago?" Dummy me, I said, "Nope, wasn't me." But thinking to myself, I wished it was me because this woman was attractive. She asked again and again, and I said, "Nope, wasn't me." In my opinion, this was a pickup line, a test, and an invitation to get her number to take her on a date, and I failed miserably. Story 39. Once, but it was a joke, I think. She asked if I had a bandage because she was hurt, and then she flexed at me. We chatted for a bit, and I got her number, but it did not go anywhere. Story 40. My three friends and I were sitting at a table enjoying our beers when Shrek and her friend came over. Do you want to play Pearl Harbor? We all looked confused. You lie back and we blow you up. Story 41. No. I have always had to pursue. Being an average man, I think only very attractive men really get approached like that. Average men have to pursue. It works. I meet many women, but it would still be nice to be one of those very good-looking men. Story 42. I'm not a native English speaker. One time I was in a bar near Nashville, half drunk, talking to a bar friend when a girl sat next to me, smiled and said, I don't understand a word you're saying, but I love the way you say it. I thought, who are you? That was not cool. You might be cute, but it's offensive. And oh Lord, I'm being hit on. All in the space of 2 blinks. We had a lovely back and forth conversation for half an hour before we went to her place. I do not remember anything about the bar friend. Story 43. My first job and girlfriend came hand in hand about 20 years ago. They made us write our names and numbers on a sheet of paper. I do not remember why. Anyhow, this absolutely stunning woman called me and basically said, hello, my name is name. I hope you do not mind I got your number from the sheet. I was blown away. I absolutely did not care. She was very attractive. We lasted about a year and are still really good friends. Story 44. We were outside a pub in London when he turned to me and said, I was going to offer you a chip, but I seem to have eaten them all. We were at my place within the hour. I never got a chip, though. Story 45. Once, left me completely flustered in a way I did not think was possible. I was at a tiny coffee shop, nursing a latte and pretending to be engrossed in a book I had already finished. Out of nowhere, this woman leaned against the table, holding a steaming mug and said, You have been staring at page 42 for 10 minutes. Either that is the most profound sentence ever written, or you are just here to vibe with the ambience. I choked on my coffee, laughing and coughing, and she just arched an eyebrow like she had made a perfectly reasonable observation. I sputtered something like, the ambience is great? And she shot back, good. Glad we are both here for it. Then she winked, tapped my book, and walked off to join friends, leaving me there with my face hotter than the espresso machine. I still think about it. Not just because she was effortlessly cool, but because I did not even ask for her name. To this day, I wonder if she knew exactly what she was doing, planting that little seed of what if, just enough to keep me guessing. Total mind game, total art form. Story 46. My friends and I were in Everett, Washington, at a bar. We were standing by a table, talking, when out of nowhere a woman climbed onto a chair behind me, wrapped her arms around my neck and legs around my waist, and said, I'm taking you home with me. My friends had to help pull her off me. No, I didn't go home with her. I was at the Veterans of Foreign Wars Hall shooting pool with 2 friends. A woman walked up to me, tapped my shoulder, and said, My friend thinks you're attractive. Come talk to us. I did go talk to them. It ended up in a threesome, as the woman who approached me also found me attractive. At a party, a very intoxicated and overweight woman was sitting on the floor by the couch. I was walking past her when she reached out, grabbed my crotch and said, How big is your penis? I want to see it. My friend and I took that woman into the back room, and we were intimate with her. We were very eager 19-year-olds. Another time, when I was 19 at a club in Tijuana, Mexico, an older woman sat down next to me. She put her hand on my thigh, about an inch from my genitals, and asked me how old I was. She was 31, and for the next 4 months, she taught me in detail how to pleasure a partner sexually. One of my wife's friends since high school was having a birthday party. We were at a bar in Hillcrest Park, San Diego, popular with the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community. Her friend is a lesbian. A man walked up to me, put his hand on the small of my back, and asked where the bathroom was located. I replied that he had walked past it to hit on me, and my wife was right there. Story 47. I have had conversations with some of my friends about this. The women did not even know what to say since they are usually the ones being pursued. It was hilarious watching them test it out on a few random men. Story 48. It has been a while, but the lady at Lowe's said I had a handsome face this week, so I am still riding that high. Story 49. Girls like me do not stay single long. 2 weeks later, she broke up with me. 3 weeks later, she invited me to her birthday and introduced me to her boyfriend of 5 months. Story 50. I was in Rota, Spain, and decided to call it a night and head back to my hotel room. On my way out of the bar, a girl walked up to me and hugged me. Then she whispered in my ear, "Pretend you're my boyfriend," and kissed me. When she let me go, I saw she was followed by her friend and a random guy. The random guy had been hitting on her all night, and she did not want anything to do with him. As her boyfriend, I grabbed her hand and told her I was going to walk her home. The guy followed us for a couple of blocks until I had enough. I turned around and told him that my girl and I were a little hot for each other, and that I hoped he did not mind the public display of affection. Then I turned and kissed my girlfriend. After that, the guy got the message and left us. Both she and her friend were amazed and happy that I had helped them out of that situation. Funny thing, she gave me her number and became my girl for the rest of my trip. Even after 15 years, that was the best way I got picked up by a stranger. Story 51. I was playing at a club. A girl told me, "You need to take me out back and pull my hair." I died me thought, oh hell, she's going to vomit and needs me to hold her hair back. Obviously, that made no sense, but I was a little slow back then. Out back. She put her hands on the wall. "Not enough hair pulling, mister." I blinked and said, "But you're not vomiting." She snapped her fingers at me. Seriously? I thought it was drummers who are dumb. The clouds lifted way too late for me. Story 52. Usually, I was the one to approach them because, for some reason, girls don't take the initiative. The ones who made the first step were for normal conversation, but one time one girl said, "You were funny and make me laugh." I needed to laugh. "Can you make me do some more things besides laughing? I am in need of more than laughter." On another occasion, she said, "It sucks that you have a girlfriend. You were cute and funny. Wait, she's not here." Story 53. Yes, it was basically about her loving my hair and being jealous of it, wishing hers was like that. I have always kept my hair pretty long, and it is really thick and curly with long ringlets. I have always received compliments on it since middle school, but she was the first to direct message me and use my hair as a starting point for our conversation. Story 54. Hey, do you want to come smoke marijuana in my room? I don't smoke marijuana. I heard you like to drink wine. You can bring some. This was during sophomore year. Story 55. Played college baseball as a pitcher. On Sundays, we wore gray uniforms, which were the original gray sweatpants, also known as dick print pants. An unknown fan came up to me before the game and told me that she would give anything to use her mouth as my cup, meaning to protect my genital area from harm. Yes, she was great in bed, but not right in the head. Story 56. I was walking shirtless at a festival, and a girl stopped me and asked what gym I go to. I told her and asked why. She said, "So I can go there to become hot like you." That was the best one, I think. Another time, I was at a concert. My knee was bothering me and getting swollen, so I found a place to sit to see if it got better. A woman sat right beside me and asked what was wrong. I said my knee was hurting. She asked if she could take care of me. I knew what was going on already, but I still played along and asked, "Are you a doctor or something?" She said, "For you, I can be." Even her friend couldn't keep a straight face after that. Story 57. The closest I got was, "You have a cute face," from a completely stranger college student who went to my same school. I never saw her again. Story 58. A random woman whom I had never spoken to before came up to me at a bar. She said, "What moves like a tiger and winks?" Before I could say anything, she winked at me. Nothing came of it, but it sure gave me a boost. Story 59. My former spouse told me that I looked nice in an outfit I wore during our senior year. We have been together for 34 years. Story 60. I had a woman approach me asking how much mustache rides were. I told her to get her purse ready because a mustache this majestic is going to cost her. Story 61. Random woman I had never met before approached me on a public dog walking trail. She said, "Oh my gosh, your dog is so cute. I just got off work and had to walk my dogs too. I can't wait to crawl into my bed when I get home. Do you want to come home with me?" I politely declined and continued on my walk. Story 62. A woman who had been at the bar for a while got up to go to the bathroom and said, "I might not be able to walk straight, but I am going to walk straight back to you." Story 63. A long time ago, a girl I knew asked me if I wanted to hang out. When we got to her place, she actually said, "I'm just going to slip into something more comfortable." I just smiled and nodded, but I was thinking, did she really just say that? It seemed too corny to be true. Story 64. Hope you cleaned your apartment. You are about to get lucky. My friend did not find that nearly as clever as I did. Story 65. I may be a difficult person, but I am a confident and strong individual. If you were in my position, you would be the most impressive. I am fairly certain I heard that in a Cardi B song. Story 66. No, or at least not that I have been aware. However, surprisingly, I have had more than one woman in my adult life either slap or squeeze my butt, usually when I was not expecting it. I cannot say I did not mind at all and was not sure how strongly they wanted it, whether they were just being playful or somewhere in between. I have also had women sit or walk by me so close that our bodies touched, even in places that were not crowded. It is interesting that women are known to master the art of being subtle but can be more physically than verbally direct. The saddest thing is that while I found all of these women attractive, I never took the next step. I am married now, and it all worked out, but my biggest regrets are not taking the chances I could have taken. Story 67. There are a few good ones, but the one that was just wild was, "Are you gay? You must be gay." I thought, be quiet, all I can think right now, because there is no way someone as fine as you would be standing here alone at my friend's bar. She gave free drinks to keep an eye out, without a girl by your side. Oh brother, this girl was unpleasant. She was loud, and everyone looked like, what is going on? Even before the punchline. A few whiskey sours later, she was all over me in the hallway. I had the last laugh because she never finished, and I couldn't care less. Story 68. I remember telling this to my ex, me while putting my slippers on. "Hey, please accompany me." Him, "Where?" Me, "In growing old." Everyone who heard it felt touched. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.